Food is good.
La comida es rica.
I like to eat it.
Me gusta comerla.
I like fruit.
Me gusta la fruta.
I like fruit.
Me gusta la fruta.
The apples.
Las manzanas.
The apples.
Las manzanas.
The bananas.
Las bananas.
The bananas.
Las bananas.
The oranges.
Las naranjas.
The oranges.
Las naranjas.
The pineapple.
La piña.
The pineapple.
La piña.
The watermelon.
Sandía.
The watermelon.
Sandía.
The grapes.
Las uvas.
The grapes.
Las uvas.
Give me fruit. Give me fruta.
Dame fruta, dame la fruta.
Food is good.
La comida es rica.
I like to eat it.
Me gusta comerla.
I like breakfast.
Me gusta el desayuno.
I like breakfast.
Me gusta el desayuno.
The pancakes.
Los panqueques.
The pancakes.
Los panqueques.
The eggs.
Los huevos.
The eggs.
Los huevos.
The juice.
El jugo.
The juice.
El jugo.
The sausage.
La salchicha.
The sausage.
La salchicha.
Okay, good. Okay, this is the meat. I'm using a pork butt. It's got just a little bit of fat on it, and we're going to take that off later on. It's been cooked in water with those seasonings that were listed just now. And now what I'm going to do is I'm not going to let this meat cook to the point where I can just shred it. I want it cooked just to a point where I can chop it up into small pieces, and then I'm going to brown it in a hot skillet. After I do that, then I'm going to add the red chili that I made in the last episode and let that marinate overnight. The reason I'm doing this is for the added flavor and actually for a more chewy sort of tamale. There was the fat that I removed from the pork butt. I'm putting this in a hot cast iron griddle, and I'm just going to let them toast up. See that? Stirring it around so you can see the meat is well browned. I'm transferring all this to a large pot. This is the pot that the chili is going to go into as well, so that this meat can marinate overnight. Refrigerate it when it's ready to be marinated. Now I'm putting a whole white onion in it. First I'm going to saute the onions until they're translucent. Look at that. Now that's added to the meat mixture. Remember, there are other ingredients in the red chili, including garlic, but if you'd like to add some more garlic or other things to this meat mixture, feel free to do so. This is going to constitute the filling of your tamale. I'm just going to mix this up together, and then I'm going to add the red chili. Okay, you can see, oops, you can see episode 9 for the red chili recipe if you haven't already seen that. This one here has not been strained or sieved, so there's tiny particles in it, but not too bad. The longer you blend it, the less apt there are to be any particles there. They'll catch in your teeth. Later I'll make another identical red chili sauce. That'll go over the top of the tamales, and that's going to be definitely screened so that there's nothing, particles and so forth in it. Okay, let this cook on low, and then refrigerate it after it cools down. Now for the masa, 2 cups of shortening, I use lard, a 2 tablespoons of baking powder, a tablespoon of salt. This is your blue corn and regular white corn masa harina. This is the pork broth that I'm going to use. The first step is to make sure that you whip up your shortening, and when you do, this is where you add your baking powder and your salt. Use a mixer. I can't wait to get my big stand mixer. I don't know when that's going to happen. Make it a whole lot easier for me to put that shortening. But for now, this will do the trick. Actually, people, before mixers came along, what they did is they just used their hands and just stirred that lard rather until it was as creamy as you see it here. The more that you whip this, the lighter and kind of fluffy your tamale will be. This has to be done. If you don't do it, your tamale will be just much too dense. The baking powder will serve to plump them up slightly, not a whole lot. Now I'm adding some chipotle powder to the blue corn flour and the masa harina. This is to add a little more spiciness to the masa itself. Stir this up. Use about half of the whipped shortening and mix that, incorporate that with the dry ingredients. Feel free to use the mixer again if you prefer. Now 2 cups of hot or very warm pork broth. You can use chicken broth, you can use water, whatever you prefer. Just squeeze this mixture together until it forms a paste. My blue corn turned a little green from the addition of the red. Okay, now this is the prepared masa, and all we're going to do with this is let it set out for room temperature. Because the process for one person is so long, I break it down into 2 parts and 2 different days. It's alright to leave this masa setting out at room temperature for a day. Even 2 days. I've been known to do that. The masa doesn't, even if it gets a little bit sour, which you won't hardly notice, that's okay too, because that doesn't it doesn't affect the taste. If of course, if you let it stay out a week or something, you're probably going to have a real rancid masa due to the shortening turning bad. And that's it. Just cover up the masa, marinate the meat, and now in the next episode, part 2, I'll show you how to make the tamales. ¡Ay, qué bueno, señor vecino!
Food is good.
La comida es rica.
I like to eat it.
Me gusta comer.